Today's video is going to be covering some pretty sensitive topics, such as murder, suicide, and depressing stuff. If you don't want to hear about that, I recommend skipping this video. Today, we are going to be covering the Cry Fear monsters and how they relate to Simon. I took the inspo to do this from Max the One in his video called Every Single Enemy in Cry Fear Explained. He's a pretty cool guy, and I recommend checking out his video since it's really good and well made. Now, let's get started. The Hanger. Now, I think this isn't about Simon, but more towards his mother. I've seen theories about how the Hanger is Simon's mother giving up on him after the accident since he was too much to handle, and how sick Simon's speech saying he is worthless and no one would care for him, especially because he's hard to work with and he needs help, and how he says he's a burden. And with that, we are now moving on to the slower. The slower. I think the relevance this has to Simon is the fact he sees himself as slow, weak, and easy to target. Seeing how slowers are easy to kill and don't move as fast, and also how sick Simon is slow in his wheelchair, seen in the fight of Book Simon. And how the slowers stay still, at least for me, and how Simon might freeze up in difficult situations. This itself is pretty obvious. If you don't know what citalopram is, it's basically an antidepressant, and this entity might be based off of Dr. Purnell giving these to somewhat balance Simon's depression. And why I say balance and not help is because Dr. Purnell in one of the flashbacks say the pills itself won't help Simon, and that's when he recommends cognitive therapy. What cognitive therapy is, it's a type of therapy that focuses on how a person's thoughts influence their emotions and behaviors. It aims to help individuals identify, understand, and change negative or distorted thought patterns. The Drowned. The relevance to Simon is how Simon wants to kill himself, or the desire to. I assume that the mouse one resist feature is the desire of how Simon wants to live at least a little bit, and if you don't click while the gun is loaded, well, I bet you can guess what happens next. He shoots himself. But if you don't while the gun is empty, he will start crying when the gun clicks, letting you know the gun is out of ammo. Faster. I assume the reason why the limbs are metal is because it's a resemblance to how sick Simon gets around with his wheelchair, and how it kills itself, the entity, is how Simon kills himself in the three of the endings. The Saw Runner. The Saw Runner is a fast, out-of-nowhere appearing entity which can resemble a panic attack. He appears 5 times throughout the game, and you never know when he's gonna come. Saw Runner is a one-hit and very loud, assuming Simon's breathing when he's having a panic attack. Also, in the fourth section after the crash train, you can hear how heavy Simon's breathing is when you reach the first save file. Faceless, Twisted. The fact that the model is a female character could represent Simon's feelings that he has damaged Sophie. He can see it in her eyes every time she visits, when they let her. And the reason I assume why the character is so bloody is because Simon kills her in 2 of the endings in the bathtub scene in ending 1 and 2. I got that from the wiki, by the way. I've decided to add a little bonus. We're going to move to the fighting part. You know where Simon chokes himself? Yes, that. You see how sick Simon tries a little to fight back? That might be his very, very little will to survive, or someone trying to stop him, although it's very unlikely because he said that he has no one to look up to besides Sophie and Dr. Purnell.